Hello there, Padawans. Welcome to another episode of Pod Between Worlds. I'm your host, Steve, alongside Ollie, and today we're going to talk about some of the rumors going around in the galaxy related to possible spinoff shows, some other projects in the works, and then we also got a little reveal on the third book of Alphabet Squadron. So all of this coming up next. What's going on? All right, so what's up? We're doing Alphabet Squadron, the third book. The cover has been released. I don't think it's been officially released. I haven't seen it on StarWars.com yet. Usually that's when I kind of consider, okay, it's an official source, but I believe it's been leaked out. And there was a synopsis that was leaked out by the Nerdist, and I actually avoided reading the synopsis because I haven't read the whole book. Ollie, I don't know if that's something that you would want to dig into, or what you think about the third book in general. Where do you think it's taking us, just based on the cover and everything? Where the story's going?
I won't. I'll try not to go like spoiler heavy because obviously I have read the book and there are spoilers. Yep. And this cover, if you know the spoilers, the cover does hint at them. Okay.
Yep.
But like you said, I don't think it's on StarWars.com yet. I saw it on Reddit, Star Wars Leaks, the Reddit page. But it looks very much. I mean, if someone did make this up, they did a really good job. Because they copied kind of, it fits in the other book series. In other words, they would have had to draw Will Lark because I don't know that picture's from anywhere else. That's him on the cover. He's going to be the cover boy this time. That doesn't really lead to anything in the story. Pretty much everybody gets the same amount of time between the Alphabet Squadron.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I said, I won't get into spoilers, but it does fit with what happened in Shadows Fall was the last one. I always just name them 1, 2, 3. But yeah. So that's exciting, and it comes out March 21st.
Yep.
Or March 20th, 21.
March 21st, 2021.
Okay, so not too far away. The last one just released, so it actually will be within a year, right? Because didn't the last one release in June?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, it was
somewhere around there. Yeah,
it was either late May or early June. I don't remember the exact date, but that's I mean, it's good news because I mean, we just had the High Republic. You know, we had that big delay, and then we also had the Mandalorian original novel get delayed a year.
Yeah, we got the first Thrawn. At least that's still on track, so that'll be out in a couple weeks.
And we got the Clone Wars anthology, which I'll mention right now that the voice actors for the Clone Wars anthology, Stories of Light and Dark, they're actually, all the Clone Wars actors and actresses, they're actually voicing their characters in the stories on the audiobook, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
So we're gonna get some more Darth Maul, some Sam Witwer, and it's that was exciting news to see. That was also this week. But I mean, overall, we're getting some good book news after, you know, the Mandalorian original novel. That was like highly anticipated, and that being delayed kind of, you know, it really sucked.
Yeah. No, I agree. But
it looks like we're going in the right direction. I mean, this fall is going to have a lot going on, hopefully, as long as COVID doesn't ruin that. And then in the winter, obviously, we're going to have more as well. No movie, but you know, we might get.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more and more news. I think a lot of people are thinking we're going to get news August 21st, 22nd, like around that time frame, because that's when the trailer might drop, and that's when Celebration was supposed to be. So I think it'll be more of like a news thing. But you know, I think the big things are obviously, I think we're getting Thrawn, for me, our Thrawn in a couple weeks, and then the Mandalorian season 2. You know, and then I think we're going to get a lot of rumors and maybe some more dates and some more, you know what I mean, concrete details from Star Wars and move forward from there. So,
yeah. So, well, there are rumors going around, so I'll save that, and we'll dive into Project RagTag that also came out.
Yep.
As you know,
the rumors, not the game.
Yeah,
it dropped.
Yeah. So there was So just a little background. Star Wars 1313, that was a game that LucasArts, I believe it was called then, was developing before Disney bought them. Then Disney bought Lucasfilms, and then they kind of divested the LucasArts into Lucasfilms, and then they kind of, got rid of the development studio, I guess, in a way. And so that they went to, what's the one? Am I thinking BioWare or Visceral's another one? Which one was Fallen Order with?
That's with the Respawn.
Respawn.
But yeah, I think you're right. With Visceral Games was what Project RagTag was with. Yeah.
Yep. So Star Wars 1313, there was still a group of people that tried to keep that video game going, or just remnants of that video game going. This is about 2012, 2013, 2014. And that's when EA was brought into the picture with Disney buying out Lucasfilms. They also went to EA, and that also became a contract between Lucasfilms and EA, which EA has their own studios that they work with, their own developers. And so that video game, EA, basically, one of the developers came out recently and said that EA basically was like, and this was to Visceral at the time, was like, yeah, we're not going to do this video game. We're not doing single player. We're not doing a third person single player video game. And then Fallen Order comes out in 2019. So what made them change focus on that? So what's your thoughts on that, Ollie? Is this another blow to EA, or is this just, kind of, that's just the way it is? That's just how the video game industry works.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of one of those things that's just it's just a little more salt in the wound. I don't think it's going to change. I don't think if anyone is still on the fence whether or not EA has done a good job with the Star Wars license, I don't think this proves it one way or the other. I think there were a ton of rumors that we heard a lot that EA didn't believe in single player games, and a lot of people didn't believe in single player games, and that's why that's essentially, this is just confirming what the predominant rumor was on what happened to RagTag. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's vindicating for those who put the rumor out there and believe that EA made a mistake. You know what I mean? Especially with Fallen Orders being so successful. But at the same time, I don't really think it makes a huge difference, because this is not, again, like a lot of these things, this is not new news at all. It's just confirming basically like I said, the predominant theory. It's not even like there were 100 theories and nobody knew what to believe. This was pretty much what was said in general, just without definite. So this coming out just is, like I said, salt in the wound a little bit, but I don't think it's changing anybody's overall opinion if you have one at this point of EA with Star Wars. You know what I mean? It just kind of proves that they...
Do you think EA made a mistake with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they just they didn't have their finger on the pulse. You know what I mean?
No.
Clearly not. I think, I've heard a million excuses, whether it's the canon thing or whether it's this or that. I mean, the canon thing was earlier on, that it was tough to work inside of canon. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But as we've seen with the movies and just the lack of detail there in terms of bringing the universe, the consistency from the books to the movies, you know what I mean? It just seems like you could have done... I mean, look at all the books out there. Look at all they did between the original trilogy. Some of the stuff they did between the end of the Clone Wars and A New Hope. I mean, there were so much stuff there that they could have done and messed with before before the sequel trilogy was out, and they just I'm disappointed in EA. I appreciate I've liked the games that have come out, but for them to only really have put out two really good games in Fallen Order and Battlefront 2, which at this point I think is safe to say it ended up being really good. It's not for everyone, and it definitely had a rough intro, but I think it ended up in a good place. It is a good game. But to me, see, the thing I've said before is the thing that's disappointing about Battlefront to me is because I enjoy Battlefronts, but I'm not a Battlefront player, right? Right. I play a lot of video games, but I only spend X amount of time on Battlefront because it's new, it's fun. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Star Wars, but I'm more of a story guy. So once I beat the story campaign, I probably put another 34 hours into multiplayer, but as much as it's fun, it's only because it's Star Wars. You know what I mean? Call of Duty has a better multiplayer. Rainbow Six, all the other games we play, I think have
Yeah.
better like gameplay if it wasn't for the
Mechanics,
Star Wars.
probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So like I'm fine with Battlefront, but like Battlefront is nice to have in the background. Does that make sense? For me, it's nice to be there when I'm like, hey, I want to play a few death matches, a few, capital supremacy or whatever it's called now, where you know what I mean, and you're on the ground. It's a big scale battle. It's cool, but I want more Fallen Orders. I want an MMO. I want, you know what I mean. And this isn't like the funny thing when I say this is I feel like it's almost like, well, you're dreaming. Well, am I? You have the biggest IP in the world, right? And you're one of the biggest video game developers in the world. Why is there not, as much as I don't need like this is to my point, as much as I don't need a battle royale, how is there not a Star Wars battle royale? That makes no business sense when you think about it. You have EA, right. You have the ability with EA to put out to put out a game, right? You have the ability to produce a game. What is the biggest thing in the market for the last 5 years? Battle royales. How, like, just business wise, as much as like I'm saying I don't want a battle royale from Star Wars, but like that's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. It's like, you're a huge video game company. Your job is to put out games that sell. You have the biggest IP in the world, and you don't even try to put out a version of the most popular genre right now? That makes zero sense.
They did that special edition with Fortnite. They had that,
but that's not like, you know what I'm saying? That's not.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that I bet you that had to that was part of it. Like, they can't just throw the IP into Fortnite and then all of a sudden be like, oh, we're gonna do our own too. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know. Just look at their track record. Look at their track record.
I'm not friggin'. No, I understand. Like, but I'm saying this is why I think EA's dropped the ball. Is because you really only have Battlefront 2.
You're saying Battlefront 2 should have a battle royale. Is that what you're saying?
No, my point is just simply you have the biggest IP in the world, and you're a video game company that has limitless resources, basically, right? Forget Star Wars itself, but I'm just telling you, you have the best IP. People are going to buy the game if it's the shittiest game in the world just because you have the name brand of it. In the last 5 years, if strictly your goal is to make money, what type of game are you making?
Well, yeah, battle royale.
That's my point, because that's what everybody did. So the fact that they haven't done stuff like that is what is just another tick for me on why they haven't done a good job, because you're not even trying. You know what I mean?
Now,
and
would
like,
you throw that on Lucasfilms more, or you're just
no, that's EA. Okay. Lucasfilms would have, like you said, like a Battlefront mod that's a battle royale. Fine, like I think they could make more by making an actual game, but even that, they didn't even do that. They have a whole system made, right?
Yeah.
Like other places have done that. Fortnite wasn't a battle royale game when it first came out.
No.
And then they just made basically a mod of their own game.
It was
and made it battle royale.
Fortnite was
awesome.
like
the original.
It was like a Minecraft. It was almost like a Minecraft kind of game.
Yeah. A building, like protection,
the premise,
fort defense,
the zombies, all that stuff. But like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's very, I don't know. It's disappointing.
It was a little bit of a tangent, but I think this just proves why
studio.
EA didn't do a good job. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they have a plethora of studios that they could use, and they just don't. Like, Fallen Order is great. Don't get me wrong. But, like, besides that, in Battlefront 2, I don't even count Battlefront 2. You know, the only reason why is because that concept has been there for years. So
I even agree with that. Concept. They just redid, they just basically updated the engine.
You could argue, I mean, Star Wars Squadrons is going to be a new game. But even then, you could argue some of the elements. I guarantee that it's going to be, you know, they're not making something completely new. It's not like...
Yeah, and I agree. They don't have to, but like for me, like to your point, for the not new stuff, again, they've had it since when? When have they had the license? 2013, 7 years or something like that? Like, yeah, it's been a long time. And the games that I can think of that have done anything are Battlefront 2 and Fallen Order.
Yeah,
that's pitiful.
Yeah,
like you're saying, there should be 3 Starfighter games out there right now already. Maybe they all suck, but like you would have made money. Like, that's what I don't get. Like,
where's the MMO?
Right.
Like, why you had so much success with Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, and then the Old Republic, and then all of a sudden fucking
nothing.
We're not gonna.
And Fallen Order is not really like it's. I get it's like an RPG light. It's more like an action adventure game. You know what I mean? So even that's like
it's an Uncharted / Zelda game that's not open world. It's
right.
just like,
so like I mean, I just don't want to give I don't want to give EA as a whole credit because they came out with one good game, right? Or even two if you want to argue Battlefront 2. Like great,
No.
congratulations. Like you should have come out with 20 like games.
Yeah.
Forget the two good ones, but like you didn't come out. You know what I'm saying? That's I have a problem with that, and that's what disappoints me. I'm hopeful that Squadrons is good, and then that would make me hopeful that at least they've found some kind of magic sauce. You know what I mean? And they're doing well. And then maybe with the High Republic, if they can continue using better ideas, and now they're not. If the canon thing was an issue, like in other words. I don't want EA's contract renewed, but if they do, the next like 2 or 3 years is make or break for me completely. Because now you have no excuses. You've now done well. You figured out what worked with Battlefront finally, right? You figured out what worked with a single player game. You're going to have this other competitive starfighter. So now you're going to have 3 genres kind of, right? That all hopefully are relatively successful. And now you know you're going into the High Republic and you're no longer hamstrung by like, oh no, we have a sequel trilogy coming out. You can't really do anything. You know what I mean? So if they can't deliver in the next 3 years, like as much as I'm done now, I'll be like, man, absolute disaster.
Honestly, at this point, they need to come out with a game or two. Here's what I would want. And this is completely different from, because usually we want new stuff.
Right.
Honestly, we don't have a video game on just playing through Star Wars, the movies. We don't have anything.
Yeah, that's like, crazy too, right? Like, remember they used to come out with episode 1, episode 2, like every time a movie came out.
Spider-Man comes out with a fucking video game like every 6 months.
I haven't even thought of that.
Tied to the movies.
Yep.
But we have nothing. If you're like, oh, you want to play as Kylo Ren, you got to play Battlefront. You want to play as Rey? Battlefront. You want to play as fucking Darth Maul? Battlefront. You can't fucking play like.
That's a really good point, because back in the day on like PlayStation and N64 and stuff, and the original Xbox, like when Episode 1 Phantom Menace came out, there was a game. Wasn't my favorite game, but like to your point, sold a bunch. There was a game. Some of them were good. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Good point.
You could even do a game where like you're a neutral character. You're not even part of the canon,
right?
And you just go through all the episodes and
almost like a Lost Stars kind of thing.
Yeah,
that would have been a good video game.
Yeah, exactly. You play at. It's just like what the fuck? Like it's just but go play Battlefront. Like that. Fuck that. I don't want to just play Battlefront. I want to fucking play. Like I want RPG. I want Star Wars RPG or MMO RPG or something.
Oh yeah. If there was an MMO, story. I would know life the shit out of that. Like now, I'm not going. I have played SWTOR and I do have fun with it, but.
But it's 9
I need
years
one.
old.
Yeah, I agreed. Yep.
So it's just we'll move away from that because it's just
we could go for hours.
Yeah. So it's hilarious that there's just no every season of video games is like, oh cool, no Star Wars shit. Oh well, whatever. So
Lego Star Wars, dude. That's the future of Star Wars.
Oh, good fucking God. No. You know what? They're entertaining movies, don't get me wrong, but and that's not if that's their way of saying, hey
we did
it. The Lego fucking video games. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, if that's the case. So
I think I don't know completely how the industry works, and maybe I know they gave it to EA because they didn't want to do this, but I think that was a big mistake. I think they should have kept like a Lucasfilm production, like video game company to basically license. Like I think they should have individually licensed. So Visceral comes to them with a game and says, "Hey, I want to make what Project RagTag was, right?" And then Lucasfilm directly greenlights it. Like that's how it should have gone. There shouldn't have been EA's interference because they hired EA to be the expert, and EA is they're such a bad expert.
They're not a company that's like they're not like Blizzard. They're not like
they proved themselves wrong. Single player games 100%. Won't work, and then they put out a single player game and it's the best one.
Like you have all the games that you played in Star Wars. They're all RPG element type games, and then you got the Rogue Squadrons. And
right.
Yeah, you got the Battlefront.
Yep.
But your core audience your core fans, what's the games that they often talk about the most? Knights of the Old Republic and those 3 games.
Yep.
And you're telling me that fucking EA Sports and EA,
Couldn't
they're
come
going to
up
be...
with,
God. Yeah, aggravating. It's just, it's unbelievable. So hopefully they turn things around the next couple of years. I mean, with no
there should have just been
horizon.
I thought what would happen with EA is it would be more like throw shit to the wall and see what sticks, right? Like there'd be a grab ball game. There'd be a Mandalorian, you know what I mean? And some would stink, but we would have got a bunch of stuff, and they just didn't.
Here's another idea. So we're going to talk about spinoff TV shows, but here's another thing. How about, we do some TV series, and how about some fucking video games?
Yeah.
You don't want Ahsoka TV? You don't want Ahsoka TV series? Okay, game? Let's do a fucking video game. Boom, there's your idea. Yeah. Throw it on the wall, see what happens. No,
I know.
Oh, God. All right, we're going to move away from that because now I'm all fired up. So let's talk about some fucking rumors that are going around in the galaxy. So, I don't know. You know what? Let's talk about the spinoffs.
Yeah.
So Kessel Run, they're notorious for they're bringing out some stuff in the open, and recently they talked about there are 3 possible spinoffs in the works. There's 2 projects. One's Boba Fett or project, I should say, and then there's a Ahsoka project, and then there's a third one that they said they can't name because it's farther along in development. So
okay. So that meaning it's closer to being released?
No, that's closer.
It's just starting to get talked about.
Closer to being legitimate that they can't actually say anything.
Oh, interesting. Wouldn't it be the other way around?
I don't know. So basically, from what they said, and this is basically just reading along, is that in development could literally just mean
somebody said it at the table.
Let's do a Boba Fett TV series. Okay, cool. And that's your in development stage right there.
Gotcha.
So I on the HoloNet Lives earlier this week, I said I thought it would be an Ezra Thrawn live TV series or a Rebels sequel TV series just based on everything going on. What do you think about these spin-off rumors? What do you think the validity of this is?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough to tell, right? Because no one names their sources. Nope. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Kessel Transmissions has only. It basically is that Bad Batch one is the only one that's come true. Not that they've thrown a bunch of stuff out before there, but that was what really brought them to prominence.
Yep.
So
it was a Bad Batch.
So I mean, obviously they knew about that early, and that it didn't seem like a guess the way they said it. Sounded like they knew. So I think the problem is I think, and what's tough about leaking it, so I give them credit. What's tough is if you do have a source like that, like you're saying, a lot of these things could be just talked about, right? And will never come to fruition, no matter how good an idea it is, because of 1,000,001 reasons not to do it business-wise or this wise. You know what I mean? So them getting stuff wrong or making predictions that don't come true, I don't, unless they get to Mike Zero range. I don't really take points away for that, because who knows? Someone could have said it, you know what I mean? And I'm sure someone did say it for these things.
Mm-hmm.
But these ones, I mean, they all seem to make sense, right? I mean, the Boba Fett thing, people have wanted Boba Fett forever. I don't know what did they say, spin-off, meaning that they're saying Boba Fett's going to be in season 2, and then they're going to spin off a show. Saying they're spin-off Mandalorian shows means the people that they're spinning off are in the show.
I don't think.
Right? They're not saying there's a Boba Fett show that's going to come out in Clone Wars.
I assume so, because it said the Mandalorian spin-off shows.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me.
All right, there you go. So
that would tell me that they would be in the Mandalorian in some form or fashion.
Gotcha.
So then that gives you an idea that, okay, so Mandalorian season 2, are we going to see Boba Fett? Are we going to see Ahsoka? Are we going to see
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot. I mean, the Boba Fett thing's interesting because I think we are going to get, I would assume we're going to get some kind of Cobb Vanth Boba Fett thing, right? I don't know, both, either or. I'd actually be really disappointed if Boba Fett was in it without explaining Cobb Vanth at all. Even if it was a thing that Boba Fett came back and reclaimed his armor by like killing Vanth or something like that. But I need there to be a mention. You know what I mean? If you're gonna do just Boba Fett, I would tend to think it would just be Cobb Vanth. But there's been a million rumors that Boba Fett's coming back, so they know better than I do. I don't need Boba Fett. You know what I mean? I thought he was cool, but
though, how many people do you think actually read the books? And
not many. We talk about it all the time. You know what I mean? Like everyone's a Star Wars expert, but they don't read any of the canon books, so it's tough.
So that's kind of.
They may not even know who Cobb Vanth is.
Right.
So
like when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, I know. Fucking Aftermath, whatever.
Right.
But like that's the point. Like maybe that might be an issue right there too, is because everyone thinks, oh, Boba Fett, when they don't even realize it's actually Cobb Vanth wearing Boba Fett's armor. Right. So then it's really not Boba Fett. So
right, and I don't know that. I'm just saying that as of like 2 or 3 years or a year after Endor, I don't even know that they give it a direct timeline, but basically before The Mandalorian, a guy named Cobb Vanth had the armor that he got from Jawas that picked it out of the Sarlacc, basically, is the general story. So if Boba Fett is actually in The Mandalorian, especially if he has his armor, that has to be explained in my mind. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I mean, I think the thing that I take out of the rumors is less about the spinoff shows, which are all sound exciting, and I agree with you on some of the different ones. More so that if the spinoffs are in talks, right, and that's confirmed, like that they're talking about this, that means that these characters are in Mandalorian season 2. You know what I mean? Because I could be wrong too. Like I do, like we talk about all the time. I 100% do like the canon books and the canon lore. So like I know just about everything there is to know about that kind of stuff, right? May not be able to pull a name like instantly, but like I know the story canon wise pretty darn good. I do get lost in the rumors and what's confirmed. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Ahsoka hasn't even been confirmed for Mandalorian season 2 yet, right?
Nope.
Okay, so still hasn't even, right? No. So, which I think that's probably like a high percentage chance, because I think you'd see a lot more people saying no, but still, that's wild, right? Like, she still hasn't even been confirmed.
All these castings, so Ahsoka,
Oliphant,
Oliphant, who they're saying
could be anyone,
could be Cobb Vanth. Sasha Banks. Let's see who
she wasn't confirmed either.
No.
Oh, so no one's been confirmed. Like not even the actors. Okay.
That's my point. So like recently they just came out with another actress for Cassian Andor. What's her name?
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yep, she was from
like she's not confirmed because it's coming from like a Hollywood like.
Gotcha.
You can't. Is that considered confirmed? That to me, like that doesn't say confirmed because Star Wars hasn't come out and actually said. Right,
but when it comes out from multiple sources, it's usually pretty. I get what you're saying, but so yeah. So to me, this is another. To me, it's more of a thing that if they're thinking about an Ahsoka spinoff, it just gives me a little bit more percentage chance that Ahsoka's actually going to make in Mandalorian season 2, right? I just think maybe not like Cobb Vanth or Boba Fett, but like especially Ahsoka. I would think at this point someone would have come out and said like, guys, Ahsoka's not going to be in this, right? Because where we are at this point with all the rumors, like even me who reads all the rumors all the time and stuff, is a little bit confused on what's confirmed at this point because there's just so many. Like I feel like there would be a huge letdown if she wasn't in it at this point, right? So I think it may be a thing that's like it's all but confirmed, and we'll probably see her in the first teaser trailer just to confirm it. At least I hope so. But yeah, I mean they sound like good spinoffs. I still am a little bit confused on like I'm a little bit confused on how the co-meshing of The Mandalorian and the Rebels sequel series is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit unsure on that because from everything I've heard is that the Rebels sequel series is 100% going to be animated. Like that's what all the rumors were originally. So I'm going to feel... Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, according to Variety, Rosario Dawson has been cast for season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Okay. But Star Wars still hasn't said it.
No. Star Wars is still... That's why I'm still like, I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's all but confirmed. So we'll leave it at that. But so I've heard that the sequel series of Rebels is going to be animated. Like that's what Filoni did. You know what I mean? So like, if that's still true, I'm just getting a little confused on exactly where each one of these things is going to take place. Are we going to have a full animated series that has Sabine, Ahsoka, or a version of everyone, right? Like Sabine, Ahsoka, Ezra, Thrawn, because that is the Rebels sequel trilogy. Am I wrong? Right. It's going to involve those characters, right? So we're going to have a fully animated series with all those characters, and yet the live version of Ahsoka and maybe Sabine are going to appear in Mandalorian and maybe have spin-off shows. Like, where are we going timeline-wise? And please don't. You know what would be the worst?
What?
Because we don't. So there's two things that are up in the air to me. One, we still don't have a defined timeline on when that scene at the end of Rebels is. When Sabine is in front of the painting and Ahsoka shows up. Okay? We don't have a timeline on that, which is interesting because we also don't have a timeline on when the Mandalorian purge happens, like the exact timeline. Okay?
Right.
So, assuming that happens because as she's saying it, I think she says like the Empire fell and we won the battle on Endor and stuff like that. I'll have to go back. She like quotes, like she's like, it's her head thought. But it doesn't confirm, is it like the next day after Endor? Is it a couple years? Because it gets really funky in that timeline, right? Because you have the Battle of Endor, and then you basically have the whole Aftermath series, right? Which a ton of shit's going on. Then the Aftermath series ends at the Battle of Jakku, which is only a year after Endor. And then the Mandalorian is taking place 5 years. So you have this 4-year gap where you would think that scene takes place, right? Or maybe it's in the Aftermath series it takes place, somewhere in there. My question is, when does the purge take place? Because most likely that happens before the Battle of Endor. That probably happens during the reign of the Empire, right? At its height. That they exterminate basically a cast of people.
Does Sabine mean that the Empire left Lothal for good? Because that was another thing.
Right, they left Lothal, but and they show Lothal in the background, right? But like, she left Bo-Katan in charge of the Mandalorians, and you would assume at this point they're now wiped out. So she's one of these rare Mandalorians at this point, right? So it's just super confusing to me. What's that?
She's not confirmed. Bo-Katan, like she's not confirmed in Mandalorian.
Right. I'm just saying that like, when does this? There's a lot of things that are lining up here that need to take place. So my question is, and what I'm saying is, I hope that we don't pigeonhole the Rebels sequel series to happening before the Mandalorian takes place, because then you have a 4-year gap where basically, so if you said to me, Ahsoka shows up and picks up Sabine and they go looking for Ezra and Thrawn, or for Ezra, but Ezra and Thrawn, they go look, say that's right after the Battle of Endor, right? Because that's the earliest it could be. She talks about that. So say it's before Jakku, right? They take off. They now have 5 years or 4 or 5 years for that whole entire story to take place before the Mandalorian's taking place. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying it's pinching the story. So now we're taking even less of like the whole Grisk thing. Like I think the Grisk Thrawn thing is fascinating. Please give it like room to grow. You know what I mean? But then you have to have the Rebels sequel series take place after the Mandalorian's over, or at least during. You know what I mean? I don't think they'll do during, but then it calls into question, like, so did Sabine and Ahsoka leave after the Mandalorian series, or why are they going to be in it if they left 4 years ago and the story's not? You know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little convoluted, but I'm saying there's a lot of moving pieces here, and luckily Filoni's involved with them all, which gives me faith. But I'm saying I'm starting to get confused at how we're going to meld this all together with an animated series, with live action series where Ahsoka's in and out of these series, where Sabine might show up, where Ezra and Thrawn might show up, and it's like, where are we going? You know what I mean?
feel like they can't do a live series on the Rebels because it
Right.
just from like a from a fan base perspective, you're taking Star Wars Rebels was a cartoon. Why would you go to live action with that? Like, is there that much demand that people are like, I want to see a live action Rebels? I feel like it would.
Right, but is it not awkward to go back and forth too? To have like a Mandalorian series that Ahsoka shows up? Okay.
The integrity of that show because now you're taking characters. I mean, they're like
you can do it. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
You can't.
I feel like it'd be slightly jarring to see like Ahsoka and Sabine show up in Mandalorian, have their own spin-off series, and then show back up in a Rebel sequel series animated. Right? Like, isn't that like kind of all over the place?
Yeah, kind of weird. I don't know. It's. I mean, we
maybe if they just show up and it's not their own series. I feel like if Ahsoka has her own live action series and then she's intricately involved in a Rebel sequel series that's also animated, I feel like that's a lot.
I feel like the Ahsoka series can't be. Why? So that's one thing I don't like.
Could be earlier too, like when you have individual series. Yeah, like her book.
Fulcrum, if they go back, and that's the other thing too. If they're gonna take,
they did say she may show up in the Cassian, so that would make sense. The Fulcrum thing and that area.
Sense, yes. But like Ahsoka in general, like they could also take stories and rehash them a little, not retcon. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they could take stories that already happened and just make it live action too.
Yeah.
That is a possibility. So like the Fulcrum stuff, for instance, like the beginning of that, they could do that. They could, and the other thing is, oh God, you know what? I'll stay away from that. I don't think that they wouldn't do that. But
my only worry is the weaving of it, right? So if you're gonna you'd have to set them at slightly different time periods, in my opinion, if you were gonna do that. I feel like it would be hard to have an Ahsoka show up live action as Rosario Dawson in and out of the Mandalorian season 2, 3, 4, right? And then have an animated series where it's kind of taking. Oh, I lost you. Hold on. Let's get Steve back here. You get kicked offline? What happened? All right. Well, we lost Steve. Give me a quick second here. Let's see if we can get Steve back up. Hey there. Hello?
Hello?
Hey. Sorry,
Sweet.
got disconnected. No big deal. You there?
It literally just shut down on me.
No worries.
Black screen for
so all I was saying is like, yeah, I think I think it would just get to finish my thought, and this is my kind of final thought on it, is just that I feel like the timing is going to have to be slightly different because I think it'll be really confusing if Rosario Dawson Ahsoka is showing up in season 2, 3, 4 of The Mandalorian or having a spinoff series that's around that same time, right? And it's concurrently going on at the same time. I don't mean in our timeline, like the Rebel sequel series could come out 5 years later, but canon timeline wise, if that's concurrently going on at the same time as Ahsoka being in the Rebel sequel series, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a lot to.
Yeah, they're throwing. I mean,
I have faith in Filoni. I mean, the only reason I don't lose sleep about this because Filoni has control of those characters and he's very much involved in The Mandalorian. So I know that for the most part, this is already mapped out. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get a little anxiety with all this, like Ahsoka. Like, where is this all going to fit? You know what I mean? Because we have a lot going on, and it seems to be like squishing it instead of allowing it to be after Mandalorian, before the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, before the sequel trilogy. You got a lot of time there to work with. You know what I mean?
We already have season 2. I mean, like season 2 is already done. So anything that's going to happen, like what I'm saying is that he already has a story for season 2. So we already know that there is a story there. So basically, it's what's going to happen after that on some level.
Yep.
So I don't know. It'd be very interesting because then you do gotta tie in the Thrawn ascendancy stuff now because
that's prequel stuff, so we don't have to worry about that right now.
The whole trilogy is of prequels.
Well,
I thought only the first book, and then they were gonna bounce around.
Okay, I don't think that's clear. I think they said it's going to be prequels, but I think it has the option of. I think it was a semantical thing. I think they meant to say prequel, but they did say it in a way that the first book was a prequel. I hope so, because I as much as I want everything Thrawn, I want Thrawn. I want the Grisk Ezra Thrawn story.
Yeah,
it's fascinating to me. I think it may be the best thing that comes out in Star Wars. I truly do. I think it has so much potential. I know we're capped with The Rise of Skywalker, but I think what they've built there is a better story. And I know you'll agree with me, but like I think it's a better story than the sequel trilogy. I think there's more. The Grisks and Thrawn melding with Ezra and the Rebel is just a better storyline. There's more stuff there. You know what I mean?
There's more mystery behind it. There's more stuff we don't know. Whereas like the sequel trilogy, as much as anyone could say we didn't know that stuff, you kind of knew what was going on.
A lot of rehash.
It wasn't anything like it was in the same wheelhouse as like the other movies. But like, yeah, I agree. The Gris would be. It'd be a better version of the
Yuzong Vong.
Yuzong Vong, yeah.
And knowing what they failed with the Yuzong Vong for in the past, I think, and you give it to Thrawn, Timothy Zahn, I think that combined with Thrawn is a fascinating. Because I think the Yuzong Vong had an interesting theory behind it. I don't think it was executed well, probably more just because it wasn't cohesive, but I think it had a lot more potential, and I think that would be a really cool future movies kind of thing. Like that, I think that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So I think that wraps up our episode of Pod Between Worlds. Thank you all for joining us. As always, follow us on Instagram at the Padawans. We're also on all podcast streaming services on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, and Google. And we're on Twitch right now, and then all of our videos and podcasts go on YouTube as well a few days after. And also catch our other show. That's the daily show, HoloNet Live. That's the one that I do on a pretty regular basis as well, just covering all the news and updates that are going on. So other than that, catch you later, Padawans.
Later.